Good afternoon and thanks for joining us in today's edition of 360 Degrees on Canada International. And today we are talking diplomacy. It was on August 30th, 2023 when the coup d'etat in Gabon to unseat Ali Bongo Ondimba unfolded. That was barely a few hours after the declaration of the presidential elections results. And the head of the Presidential Guard, General Brice Clotaire Ngema Oligui, then emerged as the president for the transition. This stimulated high condemnation of the military takeovers in Africa. And this week, the military junta was in Cameroon to hold talks with President Paul Biya of Cameroon. And they had a lot of issues to discuss. And in this edition of 360 Degrees, we shall be reviewing the visit and what it means or what Cameroonians should retain from it. Don't go away. We shall be right back.
It is no news that Cameroonians have been suffering.
Sorry for that mix-up. Thanks for joining us. We have gentlemen in the studio. We shall be welcoming them. Some will be joining us later, but then we already have two gentlemen here who will be helping us to understand our topic of today. I begin from my right. Fonban Emmanuel, you are welcome.
Thank you, Hyson, for having me invited to this program. It's a pleasure to be to make my first presence on your program, and it will be a pleasure to also share ideas with fellow panelists.
Thanks for coming. And just to indicate that Fonban Emmanuel is a journalist and is equally a publisher of the Astus Link newspaper, Astus Inc. newspaper.
The Astus Inc.
Thank you so much. And by my right, I have Dr. Eyong Ta, who is a human rights activist. It's a pleasure to have you here, sir.
Thank you, Hyson. It's a pleasure also to be here, especially when we have to discuss on issues that concerns Africa, Cameroon in particular, and to contribute to nation building. My regards to Mr. Fonban and also to our millions of televiewers out there. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much. And before we shall get into the crux of the matter today, we shall take some news-making events that we gathered for you today.
It is no news that Cameroonians have been suffering from constant power outages for some time. In May 2023, Cameroon's energy provider ENEO had rolled out a planned power cut across many areas of the southern grid. According to the announcement, the energy provider was to engage in the improvement of its network, but the persistent interruptions have damaging consequences in the economy of the country, particularly Cameroon's economic hub, Douala. Residents have complained the outages have impacted negatively on businesses, particularly retail outlets and groceries. Elsewhere, many homes are complaining of food spoilage and water contaminations as a result of refrigeration loss.
At night when I'm sleeping, that's the worst time. When I don't have enough freshness in me, like cottage, it disturbs me. Then secondly, when you buy things you stock in the fridge, you come back and you discover that there's no light. It's really, and with when it does like that, it comes back, you see that the amount, the unit of the meter, it trips 4 times than ever before.
Residents in Bidonvilles and other swamp dwellers say they wake up every day as they engage an all-night battle with heat and mosquitoes since the air conditioning systems cannot operate. With the persistent outages, a few well-to-dos have resorted to alternative energy sources like solar and generators.
It was at 12:36 p.m. when the special flight carrying the Gabonese military junta, Brice Oligui Nguema, landed at the tarmac of the Yaoundé-Simalène International Airport this December 6, 2023. The president of the transition, here received by the Cameroonian Prime Minister, Joseph John Gote, flanked by other dignitaries like the Gabonese ambassador to Cameroon. The military general equally went through the tradition of military honors. And at the explanade of the airfield, Gabonese and Cameroonians waited massively to welcome the president, who, despite the heavy downpour, didn't hesitate to warmly communion with them before taking off to town. The Gabonese military junta was at the Unity Palace on Wednesday, December 6th, in an audience granted him by President Paul Biya. The mission of the president of the transition to Cameroon was very clear.
Je me suis rendu au Cameroun ce jour, c'est pour échanger avec le président Paul Biya.
I came to Cameroon to talk with President Paul Biya, who is the eldest in the sub-region, to tell him what happened in Gabon on August 30th, and to plead that Gabon be readmitted into ECAS. It is a visit of explanations.
Le Gabon retrouve ses lettres de noblesse. Et je pense que cette visite était importante pour nous parce que c'était une visite d'explication de ce qui s'est passé au Gabon.
And after the over 2 hours of a tete-a-tete with Paul Biya, General Brice Oligui left with satisfactory assurances from the Cameroonian head of state.
Et le président Paul Biya nous a promis son soutien total.
President Paul Biya has promised us total support to ensure that things get back to normal in Gabon. I am happy with the visit. It is reassuring, especially with the upcoming extraordinary summit of ECAS on December 15 in Malabo. So the visit was very necessary.
Donc cette visite explicative était nécessaire.
The two leaders of neighboring countries also had talks on strengthening bilateral relations and improving cooperation within the ECAS and CEMAC sub-regions.
You're welcome back, and you are watching 360 Degrees on Canal International. Let me begin with Dr. Eyong. You just watched the report there. Were you surprised or were you worried when you heard the announcement that the Gabonese junta was coming to Cameroon?
Well, no, I wasn't surprised because, first of all, I knew that it was going to happen. The fact that just nearby in the Republic of Chad, yes, we have a military leader there who also came to power unconstitutionally and had visited Cameroon or took part in one of the CEMAC meetings, yes, and was received by the head of state. It was obvious that with time, the Gabonese leader was also going to be received. Mm-hmm. Instead, I was laughing when the thing happened, yes, you know, forgot what international diplomacy is all about, mm-hmm, and began making rude statements and cultured statements concerning what happened in Gabon. Yes. Not knowing that when it comes to international relations, what counts is the interest of each country. Yes. And when that was going to manifest, it was obvious that most of them were going to hide their tails between their legs. Mm. You know, whenever such things happen, people forget the reality and just try to look at their interests and try to defend what interests them. Mm. And I don't know what next they are going to say with the fact that their champion, our president, mm-hmm, has gone upper than what they said. You know, to me, it's not much. Africa has its own ways of looking at things. And when things like this happen, the first thing to do is to show caution. You know, I did not appreciate the fact that Cameroon heavily condemned the coup d'etat, knowing exactly that even within the central sub-region, there are other presidents who came to power through coup d'etats, and they are now colleagues to our president. So it is not a new phenomenon in the Central African sub-region. All the same, to me, when cooperation is concerned, and when something happens in the country and the majority of the people are seemingly showing happiness, what the other neighboring countries need to do is to tie in, and I think that's what Cameroon has done.
Yeah, maybe, Emmanuel, the condemnation of the coup d'etat, maybe the action was abrupt, and maybe they thought the condemnation could maybe reverse the situation.
You know, it's in politics, there will always be such instincts, and most of the times when a coup happens, there's always that kind of reaction, or sometimes political leaders around the countries where the coup has taken place. They will always need to show that kind of solidarity, because the sitting president certainly is like a colleague to them, and if he's overthrown using force, then it is but normal that those around him, his neighbors, his colleagues, should, even if they are pretending, they should show that solidarity. But when he's away, it still doesn't cancel the fact that they have to collaborate with the person who have succeeded and have held power, because, like I always say, in the 21st century, if someone sustains a coup for 24 hours, then you just have to forget about it, because it's always hardly going to be reversed again. So that's just the situation. So Cameroon, whether they condemned or not, it still doesn't cancel the fact that Gabon is a neighbor in Cameroon, and Cameroon has to collaborate with Gabon. And the General Ngema is the one in power now, and the Cameroon president needs that he needs to meet him, he needs to be talking with him. They need to see how to foster regional peace and cooperation.
And when you look at the welcoming, it was so hilarious, both from Cameroonians, both from the Gabonese. It sends a message.
You know, I don't know what a leader Ali Bongo had been to Gabon, but just his health alone, it was becoming a very, big shame, because, you know, he had suffered from a serious illness which paralyzed him. And it was very shameful that in the sub-region, someone with this kind of a health situation was re-elected. So it was very shameful. So it was such a scenario that many people did not actually want to. So when Brice came, and we have to understand, like many have said, that he's almost the same family. So when Brice came, when people saw a dynamic young man, a young man who is coming to give hope for the country, a young man who can also be projected happily by Gabonese as this is our head of state, a young man who is healthy and vibrant. So when he came, Gabonese who were worried about someone who is paralyzed leading them, they got healed, they were healed. And I know many Gabonese, no matter the kind of leader Ali Bongo had been, they would feel happier projecting General Ngema as their leader.
Thank you, Emmanuel. We shall take this time to welcome one of us, one of the panelists that were supposed to be here. He just came in. I'm sure you've caught your breath. Yakubu Sangu is one of the communication elements for the ruling party, the CPDM. You're welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon to all the viewers of Canal 2 International, and good afternoon to Mr. Fombang and to Dr. Eyo. It's a pleasure for me being here on Canal 2 in order to represent the CPDM, and I send a warm message to all of our militants and sympathizers who are watching us all over the national territory.
How did you feel with the visit of the Gabonese military junta to Cameroon?
I personally feel comfortable with that, because we saw what he himself said after the exchanges he had with the President of the Republic, President Pobia. He said he came for an explanation. It was an explanation visit because after what happened on the 30th of August, he has been to other countries, Equatorial Guinea, almost all the other countries of the CEMAC sub-region, and he was left with Cameroon. And we know the strategic position that our country occupies at the level of the sub-region, and we also know the caliber, the President of the Republic, the personality he represents today, being it at the level of the sub-region or at the level of Africa as a whole, in the African politics as a whole. That is why the Brigadier General Oligi Gema, he was very happy when he came out from the exchanges, and he hoped, as he said, that he will be supported by Cameroon, because we know Gabon has been, due to that military takeover, has been sanctioned by many institutions, international organizations.
Thank you, Yakubu. I'll be coming back to you. Dr. Eyong, when you listen to the military general, he made it very clear that it was an explanation trip to Cameroon to tell Paul Biya, and he equally qualified him as the eldest in the sub-region. So, which to him, that was just the right thing to do and at the right time.
Yes, you know, as an African, seniority matters a lot.
Yes.
And we can't deny the fact that President Paul Biya is a patriarch. That is not even debatable. And actually, from his speaking, you could see somebody who has turned around the presidential aspect for so long.
Yes.
As much as he is a military person, he has developed diplomatic language so soon and so fast.
Of course.
Even though, to an extent, he made very clear statements that are not usually made after such meetings. Because, for example, he didn't need to say that he came to explain to Cameroon. Cameroonians don't determine who is the president of Equatorial Guinea.
Yes, but
I think
given
he said,
the position of Paul Biya, maybe he was hanging on that.
No, I mean that those are not that it is wrong for him to do that.
Yes.
But to say it in public is not usually done. Because in diplomacy, usually what the person says is not what they discuss. That is already known by everyone. Because when you say so, you give an impression that those are the people to determine whether you become president or not, which we are trying to say that it should not happen. Because it has been a tendency where people think that you are in the country, but you think you should be endorsed by other countries for you to belong. But if that was done on the basis of the economic union, as he said, he intends to attend the ECAS meeting that will be taking place in...
First of all, he intends to be readmitted.
Yes.
Because as it stands, they are not part of that, they have been sanctioned.
Yes,
Gabon has been sanctioned.
Yes. Yes, that probably the discussion was on the basis that the meeting is coming up in a few weeks, and probably with the discussion with the other presidents which he has visited, they have given their okay.
Yes.
And Cameroon also needed to do that. We should not forget that even though Cameroon is not taking full responsibility as the head of the CEMAC region, it remains the head, ideologically and in terms of other aspects. Because if Cameroon maybe has to cough, most of them would definitely have malaria. So I think that aspect remains prominent. But sure, we keep saying that as much as they are recognizing Cameroon in the portfolio of leader, we have to do much more. Because, you know, sometimes when I hear people like our neighbors speak, and then they keep climbing on our toes, I ask myself if they even recognize that leadership role. Remember, most often Cameroonians have been thrown out of Gabon. You know? Most often, Cameroonians' properties have been seized in Gabon, and the government hardly reacts to those things. And then we have even had situations where, at the borders, as much as we allow the neighboring countries to come in Cameroon, they don't allow us to get into their country that much. So I think diplomatically, it was a good thing to be done. And from what he said, we want to encourage also the government to consider that if the Gabonese people are happy with their president, who are we to say the contrary? We just have to follow and try to give them the support that they deserve. Because as Mr. Fomban said, there is nothing as good as having a president that is accepted by the majority.
Yes, because when you look at the atmosphere, even there in Gabon and here in Cameroon when he came, you discover that people are virtually happy that he is in control right now.
When you see some of the actions that he has engaged in the first 3 months of his coming to power, it gives hope The only thing is how sustainable that will be, because we remember in 1982 we had the same hopes when the president came and declared morals and rigor and moralization. Everybody saw in the young president at that time the propensity of Cameroon jumping to maybe a newly industrialized country. We are today not really at that level. The Central African sub-region seems to have a sickness of underdevelopment, and we just hope that with the actions he's taking, he's going to take Gabon out of the other 6 countries who are still, limping to where they are supposed to be.
And Fomban, in his declaration, he equally made mention that President Paul Biya has given him the full support that he will be needed, or that he needs, maybe to bring back normalcy to Gabon. What major role can Biya play in such an endeavor?
Yeah, Cameroon just needs 24 hours to put Gabon in very hard situations. First of all, Gabonese don't engage into farming like us, so a good number of foods that they eat, is coming from Cameroon. You can imagine, they always often said a hungry person is an angry person.
Yes.
So if we decide to cut food supply, Gabon is going to be affected. But like Doctor was saying, I always feel that Cameroon in the sub-region could have been really like the king, but unfortunately, our president is given that respect, but we as Cameroonians, we are not given that respect, because when you see actually the way Cameroonians are, not only Gabon, I think Gabon is even better, but in Equatorial Guinea,
yes,
it seems to be worse. So it's very unfortunate. So going back to what you were saying, the president assuring the Gabonese transition leader assuring that the President Biya was giving him full support that could be able to sustain their peace. And yes, of course, like he already mentioned, President Biya is an elder brother in the sub-region. I even made a caption in one of my poster editions saying like the transition leader, the Gabonese transition leader visits the big compound, because Cameroon is like a big compound in many aspects. In many aspects, so a good number of them rely in Cameroon for many things, and it's not that we're actually doing propaganda. If you have to wear certain things, it's just that unfortunately we've not been able to carry that big compound potential like we are supposed to do, because if we did, certainly Cameroonians would be respected in a different level in all the sub-regions. So Cameroon has a very huge capacity to affect and ensure peace in these Central African countries, and the potential is there and we cannot argue. So for the transition leader, the Gabonese transition leader, General Brice Clotaire, for him to have made that statement, I just think that is just being very frank. Unfortunately, we are in an era where politicians are not known to be frank, but he was just being very honest with the reality.
Yakubu, there is this irony. You see many Cameroonians today who condemned the military takeover in Gabon. During the day of the visit, they were so close, so happy with the fact that the junta was in Cameroon. What explains such an irony?
When you talk of Cameroonians, I don't understand. I saw Gabonese who were happy, but...
I mean, even at the level of top-ranking officials, who've received letters maybe from the government spokesperson condemning the coup in Gabon. Likewise, other officials in their outings condemning the coup. But during his visit, you saw that most of them were virtually happy, and then even looking for ways to collaborate with him.
It is not a sign of happiness in that way, because when a situation occurs, he took this thing, he did not respect the constitution, and he was condemned by everyone.
Yes.
But to move forward, the way forward is, at least because he scheduled the elections, I think it's for 2025, and he's just there for a transition according to the charter the program he gave. And at this time,
I'm not cutting you. Talking about transition, we should make it very clear that he didn't give any clear period as to when that transition will take place.
No, he talked of 2025. Elections, yes. Elections are scheduled for 2025. Yes.
He said he will do it as soon as possible, but he didn't give us a year. Neither did he give a month.
Because actually, whether we like it or not, they are the authorities recognized by the people. If they are recognized by the people they govern, we think that coming to Cameroon in order to re-establish that relationship, I think they should be welcome as we saw, because coming to Cameroon is even though he visited the other countries of the sub-region, but we know being received by President Biya is a sign of, it's a plus of credibility, because at the international levels, a president like President Biya is, we know the weight, we know the capacity of that president, and I also salute the steps taken by Brigadier General Olingingema, because when you look at the way diplomatically he's handling everything, it really shows that it is someone who really knows what he's doing. He really knows where he's moving to, because he was sanctioned by many organizations, and just I think it was last month, they were reinstated back in the Commonwealth. On the 6th of November, the sanction the sanction of the African Development Bank was also cancelled. And you see, that is why I'm really, and probably, if everything goes okay, Gabon may be reinstated at the end of the meeting of ECA's countries that will be taking place on the 15th of this month. You see, that is a president who has really, he knows what he has to do, and that is what he's just doing, and it's something to be saluted.
Thank you, Dr. Eyong. When you look at Cameroon, Gabon, we are neighboring countries, and we almost face the same economic challenges. Could this be a motivation behind the collaboration, given that even if we have an elected president and they have a president who emerged through a coup d'etat, we are forced to collaborate?
Well, the first thing is that there is good and bad coup d'etat. My own analysis.
The one that happened in Gabon, is it good or bad?
It is 75% okay. It's not 100%. It's 75%. Yes, it wasn't bloody.
Yes.
And then secondly, it was a way to end a certain hegemony, to prove that Gabon is not a monarchy, but it's a country that is intending to practice democracy. And thirdly, you will see that he did it with a patriotic intention, on the basis that the population was tired of who was leading them. I think Mr. Fomba emphasized so much on that. I will not want to go again to that. And fourthly, you are going to see that he has been in the presidential house for so long. And because of that, he knows the in and out of Gabon and the country.
Yes.
So by the time he was doing what he wanted to do, he knew the implications of the actions. And when you look at the fact that people say that they are a big family, no, the family aspect here does not really give that impression. Because for him to have been that close to the president and to send the wife to jail shows the divide that was actually within the other son, I think Noreddin, or so. If you look at the action, those things were not done by mistake. Since he was in-house, he knows exactly who in Gabon has done what damage. And he knows exactly where, if he touches, the population will celebrate. And that is what he's doing. So as I said, the 75% is on the basis that I hope he's not doing folklore. And to me, any coup d'etat that takes place in any French African country without France being put at the limelight is a problem to me. Because it means that somewhere along the line, it could have been remote control. Because while France condemned heavily the coup d'etats in the other three countries, that is Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, they never made a statement when the one in Gabon happened. They didn't. And while other countries were condemning, he was warmly received by the French president in the meeting in Egypt. It was in Egypt or Algeria that they went there for the climate summit meeting. He was received by the French president, which was like, congratulations, and you followed instructions very well and did what you had to do. So when it gets to that, I get some worries. As you rightly said, how that will trigger development in Gabon is what we need to watch and see. But I don't have any optimism to that. I don't. The fact that there is no currency independence. We cannot easily orchestrate or carry out certain projects that would take us, when I say us, I mean the sub-region, those countries that are dealing with the franc CFA. That still remains a blockade.
Yeah.
So as far as he may want to do certain things, the fact that he does not have control over his currency will still be a problem. Because when you see the African Development Bank suspending, they were suspending them on which role do they have to play, if not because they can borrow the money. You can never hear that anything happens in a developed country and you hear a financial institution making a statement. It will be limited to the economic union, maybe European Union, maybe the United, which cannot even make it. So you see that we are still in an infant stage of sovereignty, which still poses a problem. All the same, if the Gabonese can have some degree of air breath, if they can just be able to have the three basic things of potable water, electricity, and maybe the health facilities, to me, they can trigger the other things themselves and get something better.
Yakubu, you wanted to react to that briefly?
Yes, what I'm saying is just to add that most of the measures he came up and he took, I will call them short-term measures, because when you look at the level of scholarship, he reopened because at a certain time Ali Bongo suspended scholarships for some students abroad, and it created some frustration. That was because, you know, the major source of income of that country is the sale of petroleum products, with fluctuating prices and etc. It was extremely difficult. That is why at a certain time the president at the time, Ali Bongo, had to suspend it. But when he came back immediately, I think it was 2 weeks after, he reopened.
Just to indicate that
to the scholarships, and then actually there is a mass recruitment into public service in Gabon. That is why reducing unemployment by employing, yeah, it is good for the government to employ, but how can a country employ everybody? And actually that is what is being done. Almost everybody are being employed actually in Gabon, and I think that in the long run the funds, those who were there before him, it was not because they don't want the employment or they don't want the youth to work, no. It was because of the economic constraints. And what he's just doing actually, I don't think, that's why I qualify them as short-term measures. For now, the population will be happy, but the impact in the long run will come back to the same thing.
Yeah, you talked of scholarship. Just to indicate, I talked to some Gabonese students here in Yaoundé on the day of the visit, because he had to hold talks with the Gabonese community.
Yes.
One of their major worries was that he should look for ways to institute scholarships, especially for students that are studying in Cameroon, which means that as we speak, his scholarship scheme is not that active in Cameroon. So believing that he heard the cry, maybe he will do something about that. Emmanuel, he made mention of the fact that there could be some remote controlling. That's why we find ourselves where we are.
For me personally, I still sometimes feel that this that General Brice, he did a coup and took over from a leader who had done already a coup, because normally when you look at the constitution of many countries, it assumes that to be president you have to be physically fit. Was Ali Bongo still physically fit? That was not true. So if he's not physically fit plus other things and still in power, it means it's already a coup. He was running on a coup mandate. So we have to be very honest about that.
I just want to come in. Before the elections, his doctors made it very clear that he was fit to run as a presidential candidate.
We don't. His doctors could do the politics, but even a blind man would tell you that Ali Bongo was not healthy. Yes, even a blind man was going to be. But no, I'm not. Yes, it is. You don't forget about the whole thing. You are representing a country. You are representing a country. You are representing people, and like the people should be too precious to be represented by somebody who, like you can imagine, millions of people. And among them, they'll take somebody who is paralyzed. It's very disgusting. So there are some of these things we have to be very frank about them. And we were talking, I think Doctor was talking of the issue of France. I also feel that people like the president of France, he's a young man, and sometimes when he goes somewhere and he's actually exchanging hands, he also wants to exchange with a very healthy person. And sometimes when you even exchange hands with people who are not healthy, they mock at you also that you go to this place and even this man who is not healthy and he's sitting there and people are watching him and encouraging him and so on. So sometimes there are some of these things other countries sit quiet because they themselves, they feel it could be shameful for them to be condemning, because you're condemning because somebody had been paralyzed and still did all his gymnastics and was revolted to power, and then a young man came and said, no, this country is too responsible.
I get you.
So that is it.
I get you, Fomban. Either ways you want to put it, that cannot be a coup. I just want to cancel that because you said the guy who came up with a coup was coming.
The whole thing is that we are looking at physical. Yes. There's constitutional coup. We have to be very frank. Yes. There is constitutional coup. We cannot argue. The whole thing is that if the Constitution provides that you should be able to meet up to this, like for instance, if they say to certainly to work in whether at Canal here, you need to have a bachelor's degree. And you're seeing at the corridors here with the first school living. It doesn't. Yes, so it doesn't.
No.
Yes, so the whole.
What
thing
I want us to understand.
Yes, so the whole thing is that when the Constitution provides that, like for somebody to president, the person needs to be physically fit. If you are not physically fit and you are still there, you are already abusing that Constitution. So what do we call it?
And you and I know that for you to be physically fit, the best person to determine if you are physically fit or not is a medical doctor.
Ask yourself if the doctor was acting on his will. Yes, even a mad person will tell you that Ali Bongo was not. Yes, I'm telling you that if
Emmanuel, I'm coming back to you. Yes, you wanted to react.
Yes, I just want to say that to be very honest with us, the medical doctors in some medical doctors in some African countries, they issue medical certificate based on instructions, and we cannot refuse the fact here that the medical certificate that was issued was denied by many Gabonese. Remember, there was a summit that the president visited France. And at one point, when they had to give the military honors, he could not sustain standing. He had to try to lift up one of the legs, and it became a caricature situation. And more to that, when you have a stroke situation, as it was the case, even your speech is affected. Yes. And from one of the things that the present president said is that there was a lot of signature forgeries by the family based on the fact that the president could not longer sign documents. Remember, it is the hand that he uses that was equally affected. That said, I want to correct something that, not correct, give my opinion on something that Mr. Yakubu said. When we start saying that a president who has come to power, who has been in the presidential suite for more than 20 years, does not know the economic situation of the country, it is very disturbing. By the time he took the decision to recruit more persons into the public service, it is because he knows how he's going to meet up with that. Let me get it started. Look at the amount of money that was recovered only within a short period of time. The problem in these countries is not the incapacity to pay workers. It is bad faith. It is misplaced priorities. I know you are saying that because you want to say that Cameroon is not recruiting because of... No, you should forget about the Cameroon context. Cameroonians have decided to be coward in their majority, excluding me, and probably my brother here, and probably the other one. But it does not mean that I should support them.
Not excluding...
According to international standards. No, let me come, because you are okay with that. Yes. To international standards, every country is supposed to have a minimum of 10% the active population in the public service. In Cameroon, it is less than 7%. In Gabon is 2.8 million people. It was less than 5% in Gabon. So it means that these countries are under-recruited in the public service. Therefore, it is not a problem of money. It's a problem of policies. It's a problem of the management. It's a problem of decision and the political will to do so. For the issue of scholarship, the countries don't lack money. They waste money. How many cars we saw being paraded from the houses of a few persons? Yes. Each car cost at least 120 million. Yes. There were about 20 of those vehicles. If you just take that amount of money, you can see how many students can be assisted out of Gabon to make the human resource what it's supposed to be.
Gentlemen, I will stop there for now. Back to you. Let's welcome Lionel Kugaba, who is just joining. We are sorry that your meeting was on the way, but we understand the hitches that kept you behind. Lionel is a NEC member of the Social Democratic Front. Welcome.
Thank you, Hyson. Good afternoon to all my panelists, good afternoon, Doctor. You know, Yaoundé these days with traffic is not easy, and I'm living in the outskirts of Yaoundé where the mayor of Yaoundé 1 transferred all the motor parks of Yaoundé 1 right down over there. So for me, leaving Kozwa to Etudi is a nightmare at this particular time. So I had to spend a lot of time on my way here. I'm here, and I'm happy to meet you guys on this panel and talking about this our sub-regional issue. You know, I was very surprised when I saw, that's my first appraisal that I will say about this issue. I was very, very surprised when I saw Macron in Dubai with this young man from Gabon talking and each other well organizing. I asked myself, did what happened in Gabon not the same thing that we saw in other countries where they are still condemning and they are refusing? This young man is going around parading, meeting head of state, and they are receiving him, they are giving him all the honors of a head of state and all what he needs to be, and all what he deserves like a head of state. And we ask ourselves, is this guy the president, or he is someone who took power by the coup? Because they said he is not member of the ECAS that he has been suspended from suspended and ECAS. The question I ask, why do you receive somebody that you suspended because of some reasons? Why do you receive him? Because when they suspend somebody, they give him some reason for them to be reinstated. If he doesn't respect those reasons, why do you receive him? Does it mean that we should also take arms and take part in Cameroon as they did in Gabon, for us to be seen, for us to be welcome and received with honor everywhere? That's the question we are asking as politicians. But that's not the agenda of the Social Democratic Front that I represent here. I want to say that we believe in democracy, and we believe that we will rule this country, and we'll take power through the ballot box. We just need to conscientize some of our brothers like Yakubu that I have here on the panel, and to make sure that other Cameroonians toe the line and join us in what we are trying to proclaim today, which is federation, because you know that will be the best way for us to come out of most of these social ills that we have. I also want to say I had the first view on that issue. I have another view that I would like to share with other Africans. You know, at a certain moment, we think we are in kingdom and fiefdoms when it concerns presidencies in Africa, especially Francophone Africa. You will see that people will come to power, they are incapable to rule. That's almost the same situation that we are having in Cameroon. We don't hear about the head of state. We don't see the head of state. You only see the signatures. At times, they will tell you this is not a good one. I saw on social media a series of about 20 different signatures of the President of the Republic. They collected it from official documents and they posted. You ask yourself, when you are at 90, are you capable to really understand or to manage a country like Cameroon? That's some of the questions that we ask ourselves. This young man took upon him as someone that was close to power, because he wasn't only close to Ali Bongo, he was close to Omar Bongo. And close to this power, he knows what was going on in the house and what people have been doing. So when Ali Bongo became unconscious and could not even rule that country again, he thought it wise that it's high time they put things on the table, and for the interest of the country, let it work. But I want to say that let these African presidents be responsible and take the bull by the horn. They should not judge this with the law of Abraham and judge the other one with the law of Isaac. They should have a same law to judge all the other ones. Because if they gave the same chance they are giving to this young man in Gabon, to the other presidents in Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, I think that would have been something helping Cameroon to develop. And I call on His Excellency Musa Fakil to look into this, because this is something that is very, very serious. We have to make sure that some of this coup, we see the positive part of this.
Thank you, Lionel. We see the positive part of it. He made mention of the fact that we
clearly see the president.
That is why, that is why I will qualify that as bad faith, because we saw the activity on the 6th of December. We are talking about a president from Gabon who was received by the head of state, and then he comes and says, we do not see the head of state, and it is really amazing. I don't know what he's talking about. And we are waiting, surely in few days, end of year, on the 31st of this month, you surely, the head of state will still come, and then, that is why when he talks of, when he talks of the age, 90, I don't know if in the constitution, either we are in a democracy, either we are in an anarchy, because we cannot at a certain time say, no, we want democracy, and at a certain time, oh, we should not respect the constitution. The constitution, is there any age limit or any age constraint when it comes to the for the position of presidency of the republic? Is there any age limit? I would say no. As far as someone is being elected by Cameroonians, he continues occupying all the elective position, not only the head of state, the presidency position, being it as mayor or at any other or parliamentarian, etc.
Okay, I get your point.
Yeah.
His worry, as he was raising, is why are there age limits on certain positions of the country and then no age limits on others?
No, for civil servants, yes, there are age limits. Why? I'm not a member of. I'm not a civil servant. Those are those are.
For us to get, you cannot be effective on the field again, and it's the
for reasons of productivity.
It's not necessarily.
Maybe just from my perspective as a press person, I just believe that Yakubu sometimes, anyway, CPDM people, all of them, by their affiliation to the party, they are supposed to be loyalists. That is, whatever the president...
We should be... Those are facts. The Constitution is clear.
Whatever the president does, right or wrong, they are supposed to stand... I'm saying by...
We have a Constitution governing us.
By their party discipline... Well, yes, the president is... he's like infallible. Yeah. According to that is it. What I'm saying so is because we so much love President Biya, and that is why we can. That is the question of whether retirement or not. That is it.
I say we think he deserves retirement.
Which is very positive, which is very good too. I'm just simply saying that if President Biya were to go on air today and announce that he has decided to step down, I think that Yakubu is going to be here certainly with a different story. He will not be sounding the way he's sounding. So like I'm just simply saying that it's just like certainly Lionel, if also Joshua, if he falls today, certainly you always have to defend him. But I feel that at some point...
I get your point. Let me get to Doctor. Doctor, at this point in time, considering the visit of the junta to Cameroon, what role can Pierre play maybe for legality and constitutional elections to take place in Gabon for us to get back to the normal ways?
Well, I think nothing. I stand by that very seriously.
When you say nothing, you cancel the ideology of the doyen that
What's the meaning of doyen?
No, it doesn't have any impact. Remember when President Ali Bongo came to power, he visited Cameroon. And when he visited Cameroon, there was praise singing and noise making that the friend of the president has come to visit him. The son of the friend has come to visit him, which was true anyway, and that he is going to give him all the possible support, you know. And we know very truly that there was a close relationship between the two. That is the two fathers, and then, of course, the son. But when he was overthrown, Cameroon condemned and it ended there. Yes. Cameroon could have sent military under the name of CEMAC, you know, as they are doing in Central African Republic under United Nations, to go and stop the incident from taking place. They didn't, because sovereignty remains sovereignty, you know, and for that reason, there is not much Cameroon can do. Even the issue of belonging in acres, as we were trying to say here, don't forget, we cannot remember when the president of Cameroon last attended a CEMAC or an ACAS meeting. The last one he attended after about 8 years was the one that he hosted, and it was to hand over power, and it took place in Cameroon. So it means that even Cameroon itself, as the president, does not see so much aspect in the issue of belonging in that ACAS. But these smaller countries have reasons, because of the fact that that is where they can easily get their economic things go through. And more to that, it is a dictated organization by the powers that be. Look at me very well and you understand what I'm saying. So to me, the president of Cameroon can simply give them a diplomatic relationship as supposed to. For what interests Cameroon? Remember, as we have said, everything is thank you, my brother. It's a game of interest.
I come to you. The extraordinary summit comes up on the 15th. Yeah. Do you see this visit influencing the decision on Gabon, the state at which Gabon is right now? Gabon is sanctioned, and then he said he came to see President Paul Biya so that there could be some readmission into.
And he had a positive meeting with him.
Yes, he had a positive meeting with him. So that's why I'm asking you, do you see the visit influencing the decision of ECAS when they meet?
The decision of the 15 is already made. That's why he's going around just for courtesy and diplomacy sake, because the masterminder behind this, the person who did these has already given instructions and everything is going on. We know those who are handling all what is happening in Gabon.
And who are they?
Behind. And I think on the 15th they will go there just to give us some certain reasons. Because I'll take just an example. When this coup happened in Gabon, the Minister of Communication, who is the spokesperson of the government of Cameroon,
yes,
came out and condemned this very harshly.
Definitely.
And said democracy should reign and power should go back to the civilians.
Mm-hmm.
Another communique did not come up to say, we spoke with them, this happened and this happened. We are seeing the President of the Republic receiving the person that we condemned, that he took power through arms and this and that. And they are there discussing, whining, dining, and they are telling us they will meet at the ECAS meeting, extraordinary meeting on the 15th. Brother, everything is already done.
He gives the impression that the ECAS summit is just going to it's just going to be a formality. We already know the results of what happened there.
What I would say is that when they were not excluded by any country, because ECAS is an organization, and when you want to your country, a sovereign country wants to join, they will tell you that these are the conditions. You sign, you ratify, you say, okay, I agree to follow the rules and regulations of that organization as in any other organization. And the coup d'etat.
Does that consider the fact that there are people who have major decisions to make within ECAS?
Seeing the country and his readmission depends on the members. That's why maybe I don't know what will happen there. Maybe they will say, okay, it will be through a vote. It will be through negotiations. Who is for? Who is against? And then
did they even sit before suspending them? Did they sit?
It is automatic. It is.
So now reinstating them will need a meeting. And anyway, during that meeting,
I don't know what you are talking about. You say, because military takeovers are against the rules of ECAS. And that is why they were suspended.
And after that, you can receive the person who did the military coup without any problem, with military honors. Give him all the honors of a head of country.
And we are against all anti-democratic. That's why you saw how President Biya, since he took over, he has always promoted democracy. He has always
we forced him into it.
I get your point, Yakubu. Let me get to Emmanuel. Please, time is not on our side.
I'll just make
briefly.
Just a brief statement here. In line with what Lionel was saying, hoping that there was going to be a meeting or certainly the minister came up to condemn and he did not come back to explain or to in a communique or press briefing or so. I just wish to say there's one thing which I've understood about politicians. Don't expect a pastor to see a priest using a Quran to preach, and don't expect to see an imam using a Bible to preach. So that is their lifestyle. Certainly, they just do certain things, and then the next day you see them behaving different. And you see somebody condemned, traveling to Douala is back. Tomorrow you see them in Douala, you are wondering how. So that's just their lifestyle.
Emmanuel, thank you. We are almost running up. Dr. Eyong, what should, in brief, in few words, what should Cameroonians retain from this visit?
They should retain that a coup d'etat is not impossible, and without if you do a coup d'etat and you lobby well, you are accepted. You know that long time stay in power can give room even to the immediate collaborators to want to also taste that power. They should also have to know that nobody has monopoly legitimacy even when the people don't want you, because they can pretentiously like you now, but immediately you leave, you will see the contrary.
Lionel, your last word? Yes, I want to call on Cameroonians to be very vigilant because what happened in Gabon can easily happen here, because we see how things are happening at the presidency, we see how things are happening at the entourage of the head of state, and we see that some of them are already envying that power and they are enjoying the little they have already. We see them manifesting on various authorities, the judiciary and all what they like in the country, and we see the way they are manipulating and handling it. So it's not possible, it's not impossible in Cameroon. We should be very, very vigilant. They are using some of these franchises and everything to distract us. We should be focused and to look some of them. We know them.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Maybe, unfortunately, just in 5 seconds, please.
Yes, I will call all Cameroonians to our militants to keep on supporting our head of state, and then as is the natural candidate of the city
in 2025.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming. Emmanuel, unfortunately, you now have your last word. It is here that we draw the curtains of today's edition of 360 Degrees. Take the appointment when it is next Saturday at exactly 12:30 p.m. Thanks so much.
MTN célèbre en grande pompe le premier millionnaire de la campagne MTN 237 dans la région du littoral. Tout commence par une caravane à travers les artères de la ville de Douala le 30 novembre 2023. Puis s'ensuit la rencontre avec les cadres du service marketing de MTN où le sacré Vénat va cadeau, forçant l'admiration du public venu nombreux. Très dubitatif au départ, notre grand gagnant de la semaine est désormais rassuré.
Vraiment, je me sens en joie au point où je ne sais pas comment exprimer ma joie avec mes frères du 237. Je prends tous mes transactions, tous mes crédits par Momo. Ce qui fait que j'ai pris un jour le crédit, on m'a envoyé un message pour me dire que je viens de gagner un lot d'1 million. Bon, moi, je ne croyais pas, mais aujourd'hui, je suis vraiment convaincu. NTM, c'est la vérité. Il faut vraiment faire confiance à NTM.
Les abonnés MTN débloquent le continent en eux pour emprunter les termes de la campagne, une satisfaction pour la région du littoral.
J'ai l'honneur ce jour de recevoir le premier gagnant du million. Donc nous sommes en train de débloquer le continent dans ma région.
Pour espérer devenir millionnaire avec la campagne MTN 237, il vous suffit d'acheter un forfait voix ou data d'au moins 237 francs CFA ou de faire une transaction Momo d'au moins 5237 francs CFA.
Durant ces campagnes, nous allons aussi faire gagner 237 gagnants de 100 000. Alors je suis en train d'inviter tout le monde à s'abonner à ce réseau imbattable qui est MTN Cameroun.
De nombreux lots sont distribués au cours de cette célébration, des ballons, des parapluies, un réfrigérateur, des micro-ondes, des casquettes Bluetooth Ayoba, entre autres. Occasion pour MTN de célébrer une fois de plus la culture camerounaise avec ce grand concert offert au stade Sikam de Douala. Des artistes de renommée sont à l'honneur, Salaciel, Mimi, Ténor, et Malors le Viber. La campagne MTN 237 se poursuit avec à la clé 1 milliard à partager en espèces et en forfait avec les abonnés. À qui le tour?
La saison des cadeaux continue dans les agences Wafa Cash. Cette semaine encore, la caravane des cadeaux battait son plein dans les réseaux Wafa Cash et de nombreux clients ont été récompensés instantanément. ont gagné des sommes en cash allant de 15 000 à 100 000 francs CFA. Des sommes qui leur permettront de passer de beaux moments de célébration avec